All right, we're gonna just go for it. I have a alarm set, so we won't. I got it set for 11, so we won't be late to Paul.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you for agreeing to do this.
Oh, pleasure.
We're gonna try.
Just to hang out.
Yeah, just hang out. It like as your text took the words right out of my mouth. That worst case, you say I said too much. I want to trash it, and then we just got to meet up and have a good conversation.
Oh, great.
Right. So it's a win-win.
Thank you.
And I always, I mean, I do say this a lot, and I do feel a connection with you. Like from the beginning, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
certain people you just like, oh, there's a, it's almost like a past life feeling, like we've known each other before, and just whatever
I can
little,
buy into that.
yeah,
Totally.
whatever little, you know, amalgamations of our past have, we can instantly relate on stuff. You know what I mean?
And
that's,
some people, you just feel home.
yeah,
With them, whether
yes,
it's rejecting or what.
yeah, of course, yeah, you feel safe.
It just feels home.
Yes,
Like,
that's
it's very sweet.
yeah,
Really.
and like kind of familiar too, like family almost. Yeah,
Exactly.
and I've said this a lot on the podcast and to people, but I went like 27 to.
I'm leaning up.
We're gonna try to pretend that's not there as much as possible. I went like 27, 28 years of not really ever feeling I really connected with anyone.
Wow.
Really,
What age was that?
oh, I'm like 30. This is like
So,
right
so
before
there was a
fighting Paul,
disconnect.
almost. Oh yeah,
I
yeah, and kind of, and it was me. It wasn't other people. You know what I mean? It was definitely. I
Yeah.
can see that now.
It was uncomfortable within you.
Yeah,
What age was that around that? Your earliest memory of that?
but this kind of forever. Just not like a not feeling safe, not feeling that you're going to be accepted for who you are. You can only open up so much, and then something cracked around the time of meeting Paul. That it was like, oh, I'm good just being me, and people are like into it. You know what I mean? And even if they're not, I'm more and more okay with it.
That
You know what I
does
mean?
make me think of a past life thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely into that,
I know.
although
Okay.
we're no one.
Yeah.
I did a lot of research, and I had an experience of an NDE, a near-death experience.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Right on.
a lot
You had a near-death experience.
I had, okay, so
Okay, you're
I
telling
have
this
to,
story on the
when my
podcast.
dad died,
Okay.
when my dad died, there's a name for it, but I never memorized it. It's not N, it's like OGE, and it's like maybe observing somebody die. Like you get a hit.
Got it.
Basically.
Yeah.
You get
Yep.
a contact
I'm
time
so into
when
this.
somebody
Yes.
dies.
Absolutely.
And so what
You're in the
happened
space
was,
of that
I'm in
transition.
the space of that. So I was in the hospital, and I started hearing him telepathically, and he's in a coma, to come over to the bed. And then at that moment, I felt him leave his body, come into my body. I had this warmth, and I tell it slightly out of, like, I'm never sure of the sequence because it was so out of time.
Yeah.
So he came into my body. It was like this warm, like somebody just pouring soup in you, and then what happened? And then I kind of like went into another dimension with him, and we were looking at our life, and it was hysterical. We were just laughing, and we were nothing at the same time. So it's very difficult to explain.
Can I say that it was hysterical because you saw like how serious you had taken it and how serious it wasn't, or do you
I feel
kind of?
like I was administered laughing gas, so anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know what was funny? I think it was almost like, the fourth wall when you're in the theater
Yeah.
and they drop the fourth wall. It was
Yeah.
sort of like the fourth, like, isn't this funny? We played these roles.
And you took it serious, and you believed it was like all true, and it was all kind
although
of.
I can't say that was a cognitive thing. It
Yes.
was all fun, like given a wake up moment.
Hell
it was
yeah.
just funny, like that we played these roles.
Yeah.
And
And we believed.
and we played them well.
Yeah.
Like
We really believed we were that role, but look, we were,
Yeah.
the one watching the movie the whole time.
Exactly.
Yes, I
And,
love that. Oh my God.
And I remember being aware of like wanting, I guess, to hold on to like the experience. So my word that I sort of took away when I left that experience was I was experiencing the self as the smile before the smile, like the formless. And the only adjective I could like that would almost stick would be, when you're getting ready to smile and it's like pregnant, like you haven't yet made the smile. That was the reality of everything.
Oh
And
my God.
and then I had that experience, and now I'm really fucked up. I mean, it's amazing. You can have like that experience and
You,
still suffer after that.
of course, yeah. No, that's being stuck here, right? Okay, I
So
can't
the
even.
NDE thing,
Yes.
just to bring it full circle, is a lot of the repeated thing that comes up with people that have NDEs. Like I didn't necessarily have that. Is that the memory is um, sort of like a soul group, and you sort of go into like, oh, you're gonna play the friend I meet at
Oh
23, and
my God.
then
Yes, yes, yes,
or
yes.
you're gonna be the father. This
Yeah.
will go around. So when you said that, I mean, it's just a story, but
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
said that, my when you didn't feel comfortable until you got to Paul's group, I thought, oh, you met your people.
Yes, yeah. I say that all the time. That's what I
Get
say.
out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So what I tell like Mike, because Mike was the first guy I connected with, right? And I remember the feeling of
I
like
love Mike. I
I
never
do too.
understand
And
a word he says, but I adore him.
did you listen to?
I'm
I did a
like,
podcast with him. It's great.
I should,
Yeah,
yeah, I should
yeah.
do that
No, I
because then
think
I would,
he's pretty.
like, he's so beyond me.
Yeah,
I like get it
he's
through osmosis.
yes, he's super out
I
there.
just, at this point, I'm not like trying to grasp on. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it.
yeah.
Sort of like Paul at times.
Totally, yeah, yeah. No, Mike's super out there, and he'll say things. So okay, he'll say things all the time where I'm just like, yes, like you put words to this ethereal thing I could never,
Yeah.
it's like poetic. And what you just said, which is insanely poetic, which I think I'm gonna remember forever, is the
Wow.
smile, that feeling of the smile before this. Like that's a metaphor for that. That's the feeling.
Wow.
It never came to me like that. But so my teacher before Paul, Michael Rodriguez, I gave his book,
Yes,
Boundless
yes,
Awareness, right?
yes.
The word that he said, which was so critical when I was, exploring this stuff at first, was seeing the unborn. And that hits Philly. I get chills just saying it.
Wow.
The unborn,
Wow, I felt that too.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's such a great image of all this is born, all this is manifest, all this, right? We live in the world of duality, in the world of subject object,
Yeah.
seemingly, but what is unborn? What is before
And
this
there's
is
a
born?
knowing
Yes,
of the unborn.
exactly.
Some sort of knowing.
Yeah, which is another way of Paul saying, seeing what you're not from what you are, right? So what you are is the unborn, seeing all the born,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that same feeling of the smile before the smile.
Yeah.
The what what is that kind of that baseline peace, joy, uh,
Like,
ecstatic, but before
like
any of it,
frequency. Like
that
he said the
yeah,
other day for the first time, I heard Paul say, it's like a frequency. Because
yeah.
I don't think he tries to ever put words to what
Oh yeah,
it is.
I've
It's
gone
only
into
to
that.
what it's not.
Yeah.
So, but that could be it, even it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. The
frequency
baseline
codes.
frequency, they call it like the ground of being is
Oh
one of them.
wow!
That's
Oh
another
wow! I
nice.
never got that. I
Yeah,
had heard that, but
yeah.
now that you said it, it just
Uh-huh.
clicked.
Yeah, and then you can get into like the ground of being. There is no ground, it's the groundless ground and all that. But yeah, like what is that sort of,
It just
and
sort of
just another beautiful.
kisses it, comes close.
Yes, yeah.
Then it.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't ever, if it, kissing it is a great way of saying it, or getting close, because you can't ever, this action figure can't ever get it.
Yeah.
Because if it gets it, then that's a
Someone
good,
there getting it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good clue you didn't get it, because
Yeah.
you can't get it because
Yeah,
you
even
are it.
that
Yeah.
experience, it's weird to talk about it
Of course,
because
yeah.
I like the nebula. I forget it. I can't say that
Yeah,
word.
the nebulousness.
This,
I don't know if
good,
that's the word
good,
either,
good.
but I'm with you.
Of it, and it's just like making it concrete is almost not doing it justice.
Yes.
You know, it just starts to limit what would exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Ramana, this is something that stuck with me early on, was he said, the truth is in the silence. As soon as you go to speak, you're already obscuring the truth.
I always
right?
feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it must be so frustrating for Paul, but thank God he does it.
Yeah.
You know, because
I agree.
yeah.
There's nothing I enjoy more. I was telling my buddy the other day, he's like, he goes, well, I don't want to go to the talks. He grew up in a Catholic, right, traditional. So I don't want to go to the talks often because I feel like there's a part of me that is saying I have to go. Like I have to go to church, right,
Yeah.
out of obligation. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know what you're talking about. And I go to the talks personally. don't know why, but as I investigate, because it's like going to a comedy show. It's something, but it's better than any comedian,
Right.
any musician, because when I'm there, it's just joy beyond joy.
Yeah.
It's just, I say all the time, like, there's, it always hit me and it surprises me every time because I can't even prepare for it because it's like the action figure couldn't prepare for it. It's like, I'm home. This is
I
it.
feel the same.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear. I think him and Amelia actually, because I've only known him with Amelia.
Yeah.
Really make an effort to make a sangha,
Yeah.
like community.
Yeah, and we go to coffee and we
It's
go to
so
dinner and yeah.
lovely.
It
And
is.
yeah, and I think I might project reasons who does that. I know I've heard Papaji really did that a lot, so you could see him just in his normal existence. The personality still goes on
Yeah,
and
yeah.
has its life, and yeah, but I'm just projecting. I have no idea
Yeah.
why. He might just like us around.
Yeah, well, I think he said before that, like, in AA, brotherhood, which brother and sisterhood is a big deal. A fellowship, that's what he always says.
Yeah.
Fellowship's really important. So
Yeah.
my guess would be it kind of has come from that. Is he realized, like, it's because I think Paul's very introverted. I can relate to that. I'm very introverted. He likes being alone. He does, but he sees the importance of fellowship. And like,
Yeah.
and he's more and more I've noticed. So I've been going to see him for like a year and a half, and over time, more and more, he'll stop in the middle of getting coffee or whatever, and we're talking and stuff, and there's a little lull, and he'll go, I'm really happy to be here. And I'm like, oh my God, like it's so genuine. It's like purely from the heart. He's like, I'm so happy to be here. This is really cool. And then he'll just start looking around at people. Keith, Mike, Sharon. I'm just glad you guys are here.
That's exactly how I feel when
Yeah.
I'm out having coffee.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
I just feel the same way. Like, yeah, there's this real warmth.
Yeah.
And I have sort of been, you know, really in love with a lot of different teachers,
Yeah.
but I never felt this sort of total at homeness.
Yes.
Like there was sometimes feeling like, Guru Maya love. I don't even talk about her because that's
Okay.
like so.
I don't know who she is. So.
It's from the lineage of like Muktananda.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's more Hindu-esque, I guess. I'm not Hindu or anything like that,
Yeah.
and I am so bad at the practices, and I get everything wrong. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not kind of comfortable in that community.
Yeah.
But also, I veer away from like the big stuff, the big groups.
Yeah.
But what she said, I mean, but I really feel her a lot. But what she said something that so stuck with me. She said it takes many, 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 many lifetimes. I don't know how many times she said that to make friends.
Oh man.
And I just so value this group because
Yeah.
of that feeling of I feel really safe and I feel really at home. It's just really nice.
No,
Not to
no, it's kind of
too
like
much of it.
no, seriously, it kind of like is the best. It's as good as great as Paul's talks are and everything. The friendship is actually the best. Like it can't really
And
the
it's
connection.
born out of something that means, I think, probably to most of us, everything.
Yes.
Because that's what I feel. I feel this is everything. The truth.
Yeah.
The truth of who I am. I love high heels. I love shopping.
Yeah.
I love it. But at the end of the day, this is the most important. It's to have friendship born out of that.
Yeah.
It's really.
This just came into that like so probably if I had to throw out there like my most important relationship is probably with my daughters, with my kids, right? It's just there's just a pure just beyond just love, unconditional, like insane, and no matter what, I know when I come home and see them, they're gonna just light up and I'm gonna light up and you know what I mean? But this just came in as you were saying that like that's almost I shouldn't even say a given, but it's like that's part of being a human is you have kids, you have this connection, and there's a whole lot of like evolutionary and biological drives behind it probably, right? But friendship isn't a given. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel particularly lucky that, like you said, it takes many, 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 many lifetimes to have a good friend. I feel that. And it was, like I said, whatever, 27, 28 years. I had friends, and I would call them friends and stuff, but it wasn't like, and Pete Holmes, again, who was one guy that we could, it took many, many years of me listening to Pete Holmes for me to finally be like, what if someone was accepted me just completely the way I am? and I didn't have to put on a front.
Yeah.
I didn't have to have the peacock tail feathers of like, look at me. That
Yeah.
like I'm into you. I say this to my friend at work all the time, and I love it, and he loves it. I'm like, I don't need you to like me, and that's why this works.
Wow.
Yeah, like what a great friendship to
I
where
love that.
I don't actually need you to like me. I'm good,
that.
you're good, and we enjoy sharing the space together. That's what I feel with
That's
you.
so true with
Yeah.
real friendship, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like you give them a hard time and you love when they give you a hard time, or
Yeah.
you could be pissed off and be really comfortable being pissed off.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
being okay with that,
Yeah.
because in the end it's about truth. It's about I'm
Yeah.
meeting you where you're at, you're meeting me where I'm at, and like the end of the story, you know.
Yeah, and there's also something just so energetic about it
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
It's just like just resting in that space that just feels so bonded.
Yes.
You know, it's really
It's the
nice.
best. I know. You can't beat it. It really is the best connecting on that
Yeah,
level.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, so your near-death experience story was
Oh yeah, so
so
that
badass.
that's that.
So I also,
Done,
if
done
there's
with.
one thing I wanted to bring up was it was on this couch. I think the first time I met you,
Oh yes.
right?
Oh
That
wow,
that
I remember
that was
this
something I had
too.
just sort of forgotten. And then when I came in here before, so I got coffee, I left and came back, and it hit me. I was like, oh, I met you here
That was
basically.
where we met. Oh,
Yes.
because I remember your word. I will never forget your words. They just sort of made me laugh, but made me really happy and comfortable.
I don't
It was
remember what my words were.
it was so fleeting. I don't even know if it'll make sense.
Okay.
But now I can't remember.
That's good. Doesn't matter.
But
It's
it
not in
was
the
sort
words.
of like I know because what happened was I was on this couch and I was just chatting with Paul
Paul.
after
Mhm.
Satsang.
People had trickled in and out, and we were down to I think a few people. It's like you and
Right
Paul, me and Mike maybe, or Keith.
here at the
Yeah.
firehouse.
At the firehouse, Sausalito. Shout out.
Yeah.
Come get some coffee.
On the big couch, and I was just sitting and just I don't even remember what the conversation was. And at one point, and maybe I felt a little like you ever get see a cartoon where somebody's blown up on helium.
Yeah.
It's like I just felt like, oh my god, I feel really no. At some point, he said something where I got a lot of fear, and it seemed insignificant, but it somehow it went into my body, and I felt like a little
Panic.
panic,
Uh huh.
and that seemed to pass. And then I got this feeling of. I wasn't expecting Paul to be that kind of teacher where you sort of get a hit of the
Oh yeah.
energy,
Yeah.
and then I just felt really large, like boundless, quite boundless. And I remember saying to you guys, I don't know, Paul, like in the middle of just having some normal conversation,
Yeah.
and I was sitting there going, should I say something? Should I not say something? And then at some point I just said, hey, I don't know if I can drive.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yep.
and Paul, in his beautiful way,
Yeah.
was like, oh, don't worry, it's just energy. It's
Yeah.
okay, sweetheart.
We'll sit here a while.
Yeah, we'll sit here a
Yeah,
while.
we got time.
And I remember you just glowing and
Yeah.
just going, I know. I felt that somebody, and sort of like maybe doing drugs with somebody.
Yeah,
Or
and yeah.
something.
Okay, so what hit me when you said that of like I don't know if I should say anything is the feeling of being high and looking around like should I tell everyone I'm high?
Yeah. Like something's
Do they
out of
already know?
this individual's control.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
100%.
thankfully, it's not drugs.
Yeah.
And yeah, just your reassurance was two things. It was encouraging because it was like, wow, there really is something
Yes.
here, and it was also, it's okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
was really, really.
Yeah, and I
nice.
just met you. Like I didn't. Yeah, and I remember. So okay, so my version of the memory. We'll see how they
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they
My
build up.
projection.
Yeah, my projection. You know, I think I had to leave a little early. Paul said, yeah, we'll stay here with her for a while, and then I gave you a hug. I said, nice to meet you. I said something like, I know,
Yeah.
I've been there, and
Whatever it was, it
yeah,
went deep.
and I
Yeah.
think whatever I was just trying to give you like a consult you like I know the feeling and like it's gonna be
It's gonna be
okay.
that's
Yeah,
what I thought.
you know what I mean. And I
Yeah.
just remember being like, and walking away with the feeling of like, cause same thing for me. I was like, do I say anything? Do I say like, yeah, I know the feeling? But I'm like, what the hell am I here for? Like, I've had these experiences. I know. So to like withhold that, you know what I mean, would be such a disservice to
Oh
like me and you
yeah.
and everybody.
Oh no.
And yeah,
It was
yeah.
good.
And so I've just been really like, just be honest. I know the feeling. and I had,
But why would you withhold it?
who knows, that just arose,
Oh, right.
yeah, and it
Like
was just,
maybe just let
and
her have her thing.
yeah,
Don't
well,
trespass. Sort of
yes,
thing.
exactly.
Maybe second guessing yourself a
Yeah,
little.
and then also a feeling of like, well, maybe my thing wasn't as intense as her thing is, so maybe I shouldn't. You know
Oh
what I mean?
God,
Yeah,
where we
right?
go? How
Right?
we ruminate.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so
Yeah. Now,
exhausting.
but there's a good ending to the story because I let all that shit pass and I just said, hey, I know the feeling. It's gonna be
And
okay.
it resonates.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
on.
it wasn't. It's funny. I'm like, I'll never forget that. I totally forget the words,
Me
but
too.
it was what was conveyed came through.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true.
yeah. And the thing that I never expected in this sort of whatever waking up little story is the terror, the like panic and the. That's why I'm like, if
Do you experience that?
I did a lot at first, and I still do now and then. But I've told the story before on the podcast, but I was listening to Paul through the podcast before I met him, driving
Yeah.
around. Yeah, and him answering a question was like that. You know, I like your
Oh, you got
metaphor of
like a pout. Oh,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
You had an
I
just
had an
through
experience.
the podcast. You
Yes,
got
just
that.
listening to his voice, listening to him answering a question, and I had again, am I safe to drive? I pulled the car over because I was like,
Wow.
I'm not safe to drive. Something's going on.
And then how did it ripple
Okay,
after that?
so that little story, I'm sure any people that listen again and again are tired of me telling this, but that little story is I got out of the car. I don't know the time. Again, memory is a tricky thing. I think it was about 2 hours. I just walked around Golden Gate Park trying to, and the feeling was like I saw selfing trying to like kick back in, trying to claim it, trying to make sense of it, and it couldn't. It was overwhelmed. Yeah, and then the physical sensation was like of total terror, total like existential. I'm gonna die. I'm sure I'm gonna die. And
Yeah,
and then
if
like
you're lucky.
and then yeah, right, I know. and then like bliss.
I mean the
And,
false ego,
yeah,
not
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like, well, it's you can't die because it was never born, right? If you really want to
Yeah,
get
good
into
point.
it. And then like intense bliss, like I had to lay down, I couldn't even handle it, like a drug trip. And I'm sober,
Wow.
completely sober during this. And then getting back up, and then like complete peace, and then terror again. It's like a total
That's
drug trip.
interesting.
Yeah. And then so that was probably the most intense physical thing ever off of like a spiritual teacher. And then there's been little hints, little mini short stories of that, mini clips of that
A
since.
lot of people talk about having the experience, because I'm bringing this up because your book is here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ramana.
Ramana, have you had any similar experiences? Because that was obviously out of Paul's body. You were experiencing it without his body there.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that with Ramana Maharshi?
I do. Okay, that's funny because
Yeah,
he's
'cause
my
it
guy.
seems like
Yeah, I say
yeah.
he's my. I get this from Duncan Trussell, who's another podcast dude.
Oh,
He's my disembodied guru.
wow.
Yeah,
I hear that.
yeah.
That a lot of people experience it that
I
way.
have an insane connection with whatever. And again,
Did
it's
you
probably
find
my
him?
projection and my ideas of him, but whatever, the symbol of him. So the Open Secret in San Rafael,
Yeah.
the bookstore.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a big ass picture of Ramana in
Uh-huh.
the meditation room. I've had spiritual experiences just looking at the picture.
Nice.
Yeah, where like his face will shift and he'll speak to me like as clear as I'm speaking to you.
Wow.
And I hear the voice, and I've again said this on the podcast before, but the voice is always kind of like you're not fooling anybody. You get this. Don't pretend like you don't get it.
So
It's
tangible.
and very kind of like father, like cut the bullshit, kind of thing. Not yeah,
Lovely.
and in a very Paul way too. But there's love in that too. It's not like he's like scolding me, but it's just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I am. I know.
Well,
I'm not.
reading him is like a shortcut. So
Oh,
I'm not
100%.
surprised
It's
that
like
he would be that way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a super connection with. I have a picture of him by my truck, and I just look eye contact with him
Wow.
all the time. It's like my little home base.
Did you have again disembodiment? Did you ever have any experience with the Course in Miracles? Did you ever get into that at all?
Almost none, and I
I
haven't
can
even.
understand that. It could be a turn off. I sort of was like, what is it? And then I just kind of read it. It was really great. But
I
I'm
love
not
every
into the
yeah
whole thing of
doing the
that
actual
surrounds
practices and
it,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it's like done. I got it.
Yeah, I love everything that Paul quotes from it.
Exactly.
You're giving
that
yeah,
baseline.
yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah.
giving everything all the meaning it has. That's like a you know.
And the dreamer.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
the dreaming of
nothing
the
ever happened.
dreaming.
There's nothing to predict.
Yeah,
There's nothing,
yeah. There's nothing to do. All that stuff is like super right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
The little bit I've tried to read of it, I'm like, I don't know, it just doesn't quite click with
It's
me.
very weird.
Yeah.
I know that I tried to, like, the people that were, I didn't want it to be funneled through somebody because I knew that would be down to interpretation then.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one way, because it could seem obtuse to read it, but it was sort of like my thing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna try to, because I was like, well, trying to figure out the words and
Uh-huh.
read it. I'm just gonna read it, and it took a year. Like I'm reading excerpt, and
it's huge, isn't it? Isn't it like,
huge.
yeah.
And like most of it's very awkward language. It's almost like trying to read Shakespeare to me.
Okay, yeah.
But even that much further away, and but something deep come through.
Totally.
Again, and
Yeah, there's obviously a lot in that. Like
there's
it's
a
super,
lot
yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
And this I don't know if I was dreaming, but it's all a dream. Anyway, I remember to the day that I finished reading it, and I got up. I was in the country, and I remember just thinking that I'm seeing white. Like I couldn't, but I remember being very aware of myself, and I couldn't see anything.
Wow,
And I wasn't
born.
even scared. I was just like, this is a bit freaky.
Yeah.
And then I went back to bed. But I could swear that really happened. Maybe it was a dream.
Yeah.
But it was a year to the day, and I really, anyway, that's
a year to the day of starting to read the book.
Yeah, it took me a year to finish it. And
God, you've had some experiences. This is so cool.
Bullshit.
They're all bullshit. I know they are. I know they all are. What's cool is
the pudding is like my day to day.
Yeah. Well, the proof of the pudding's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. This moment.
And
yeah.
I'm glad Paul's not shit. Like, there is so much fucking suffering,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's not like I can go and then there's suffering on top of that to say, wow, I have this experience, I know truth.
Mm-hmm.
I sit with Paul, I know truth. So why did I just go down that? So what's reassuring?
Well, who went down it is probably.
What's that?
Who went down whatever little detour is helpful.
To hear Paul say is things like, how long does it take you to wake up from sleep?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Oh God, I did so much work.
No matter how much the living in hell for eternity feels real at the time, you'll wake up for it. From it, right? In a split second, and it'll be like, oh, none of that ever happened. Yeah. It's such. There's probably no more put the action figure at ease feeling than that. Right? When I wake up, it's gonna be, and I connect with this so hardcore.
That's as close as I got to it with my dad. I knew it was timeless.
Yeah.
Time didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's a strange thing.
Yeah.
It's really, I think for me, my hook, what sort of, I'm like, it's sort of like, that little clown that you wind up and the clown pops up.
Yeah.
What's the song that goes with that?
All around the mulberry bush.
Yeah,
Jack in the Box.
And then, and then you scream like, like I keep doing it. Like, no, I know that there's a...
You're the one winding it, and you're the clown popping out. And you're the one that's seemingly scared by the clown. Yep.
Like, God, I fell for it again.
It got me again.
And the hook for me is my emotions.
Uh-huh.
I get very, there's sort of, seeing the one as suffering and seeing, it's like a loop, and it's very powerful.
It is, yeah.
Or it appears powerful until...
Yeah. And then once it's over, you realize,
then there's
I was giving it all the power the whole time.
Yeah, it's like a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this came in while you were talking about, oh my God, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Right? Have you seen the latest? Isn't it freaking
Oh,
great?
wait.
His latest documentary where he talks about making that movie, The Man on the Moon, Andy Kaufman. I don't remember the name of it. Okay, I don't remember the name of it. I highly recommend it. It's super like Buddhism. Yeah, he basically and so the cool little punchline towards the end is he goes, I became Andy Kaufman. I was not Jim Carrey anymore. I was Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
And then it made me realize oh, Jim Carrey also is something an act I was just putting on, right? And Andy Kaufman was the act I was putting on. And he says something like, it's been a while since I've seen it, something like, I could just decide to be Jesus Christ and do that, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
I tried to.
Okay. So, hopefully they didn't notice the transition. Technical difficulties. To be in solidarity with you,
I've noticed, especially since Paul, I call it like emotional flexibility, right? To where, so I've spent most of my life, and it seems, talking and noticing other people, they spend most of their lives of like, I'm not gonna think about the thing that's gonna make, right?
Right.
If I ever allow that to, Paul talks about this too, if I ever allow it to land, then I'm a fraud. If I ever allow it to land, then that's it. That's the death day. The ego's dead, I'm dead, I'm gonna be exposed to the world, they're gonna know how evil I am, right? And so that's how I've managed it most of my life. And at a certain point when the fraud was exposed, there becomes a flexibility in that you can laugh hysterically at how, like you did with your dad, right?
Right.
That's right. You can laugh hysterically at it. You can bawl, seemingly uncontrollably over it. But it tends to come and go pretty quick. And instead of this slow drip of this torture of, right, letting a little bit out, no, I'm not ready, letting a little bit, no, I'm not ready, that shit can last 30 years, like, right? You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah, I know people that they lost a parent at 18 and they're 50 and they still, the pain of it, you can see it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's an intelligence in this little Sharon thing of like, let it out. It's very, like, what you said was so beautiful. It's very natural when it just comes out without any kind of attachment, any kind of construct. It should be this way or shouldn't be this way. Just let it happen. It's natural, right? And so I've reached a point of emotional flexibility most of the time. I'm not perfect or whatever. I'm not the one doing it. Where I'll just start bawling over like a song.
It's great.
A thought.
It's this energy. I mean, we're still in these bodies, right?
And if it just comes out, it's like, just let go and let it happen. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then you cry. And then I even see a lot, like, after, when I first started going to Paul meetings, I'd laugh hysterically.
Oh,
right?
I've been there with you. I've heard you laugh.
And I same thing on the podcast. I laugh too damn much, but I'll laugh hysterically, and then the thought will come on my mind of like, first off, you shouldn't be doing this. People are going to think you're crazy. And then the other thing is, why are you laughing? And it's looking for something to pin it on. And more I'm just like, there doesn't have to be a reason to laugh.
It's
like,
so
it's
funny.
what a
It's
joy.
like I keep thinking of time.
Yeah.
Like once the sort of like, because this doesn't exist out of time. So then you're laughing, and then you're like, you go into memory.
Yeah.
Like, what will people think?
Yes.
Or what will,
How can I use time to justify this laughter?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Instead of just let it out. Like, freaking causeless joy. Like, what more could you ask for? Like,
Aww.
you know what I mean? Just indulge in it. Yeah.
I know.
You know, right? And then the other side
That's
of it,
great.
the crying, really, it's like the same. It's the other side of the same coin.
Yeah.
When you're just crying and you don't know why, and there's just kind of this sense of maybe relief, or maybe like, man, it's really heavy being a human incarnated here, whatever the hell, like that. Just let it flow,
It's energy,
let it out.
as Paul said.
Yeah, and it probably, over here in this little story, it'll probably happen for the next 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
And, like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. Like I it's not something I'm scared of. That less and less. I'm like, you can go ahead, say I'm crazy, like that. I laugh and I cry and
That's
shit. But
beautiful.
yeah. So
Thank you.
when you were saying that, I was like, I gotta at least get it across. So, like,
Yeah.
I understand.
It's just the hardware, right?
Yeah, it's just the hardware.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are lucky that it expresses and releases so easily in that way.
Yeah. I guess
I'll take it
certain
over the
people
alternative.
do come into the world with different biology in a way. Maybe we're feelers.
Yeah.
And it just.
I've kind of
has
always,
Yeah.
sensed that. So
I think that's a good note.
it is a great note. We're out of time. We could talk for
I'm
another
feeling it.
3 hours. That's beautiful. Thank you for
Thank you.
deciding
I
to
got a
do
lot
this
out of
with
that.
me. Yeah. And we got to do it again for sure.
Oh,
This is
I
fun.
love that.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.